Okay, day 82, no Braverman. I know this can be a little overwhelming, and so that's why I try to just do a little bit more at a time so that it offends most people's sensibilities and it overwhelms your sensibilities. So if you take it all in at once, you just say there's no way this can be true. That's why I'm methodical with the proof, with the emails in the hands of the conspirators, and slowly build the case. So I'm gonna keep going, and this is gonna be from a law enforcement angle. I think I've set this up and built this along well enough that you'll see that this is going to be a CIA plan for how to control law enforcement overseas, and then how to control protest groups. So you get the protest group. This is Otpor, Popovic, the color revolutions. You get that going, and then you train the police to crack down to get control of the country. So it's really one hand washing the other here. You're going to see the method of using the police in these sex rings. It ensures complete control of the police force. That's the bottom line. That's why you're going to see gang rapes by police, small groups within police forces all around the world. And now you're going to see how it's coming back to the United States, okay? So it's not me saying this, it's police in other countries saying this, and fact checkers doing movies about this. Also, reporters every once in a while report on it, as you see here. So there's a huge, as you can see, Hillary and Cheryl are very concerned about all the DynCorp stories because they know what's going on. They're using contracts, police training contracts, to run this sex trafficking. Now they are going to say, "Oh, we did this for national security. We did this because we had to control these police forces around the world, and we had to give them reward and so forth in order to control them." And all I'm saying is I want the program to stop because I think that's not a moral use of war victims, of orphans and women. So it's morally corrupt, and it just needs to be stopped. I'm not looking to destroy anyone. I do think there is claims that can be made. I do think the victims should be compensated. But I'm not saying I want jail time for the conspirators. Now, I'll let that moral judgment go to someone else. But that's why I said in the last video, time is of the essence, because here's the guy, Feinberg, who is putting these systems in all over the world. The reason why he has the mansion, I'll just let everybody know right now, the reason why he has the mansion in Egypt is because that's going to be the headquarters of the Muslim Brotherhood. And that's going to be the whole North Africa, Middle East pivot point. So all those 12 nations, all those discussions are going to be happening right there in that mansion. I can guarantee it. So it's all about getting those countries to buy drones, surveillance, satellite, with DynCorp as the key contractor. So again, look at those contracts for police training, and you're going to find it. That's why and the reason why I do this right now is because I had to see who they were going to bring in. If Trump was going to be, really draining the swamp, or if they were going to infiltrate, and they did. They infiltrated with DynCorp. So the time to hit is right in between the two administrations with the truth, because there's that, the French call it le temps entre, the time in between. The previous administration doesn't want to order anything up because they're going in 6 days or 7 days, and the new people are not in yet. So this is the time for a truth campaign to expose DynCorp and get Trump to drop DynCorp. If you drop DynCorp, that undoes the whole thing, because then the pressure on Sessions, then the pressure on John Allen at DHS goes away, the pressure increases on the FBI. But if DynCorp is in there in a control pivot point, there's really no hope to this. And then we have to wait for another Cynthia McKinney for 13 years to ask somebody in Congress. So you're going to see a lot. I've added an email down below where it's going to talk about you're going to go through Haiti and then it blanks out the name, and she's done a lot of the work in the anti-sex trafficking, and you're going to do this tour. So that's going to be Laura Silsby, that email. I put it down below. So connect that directly. Now again, why would the FBI redact the name of a worker. If this really was a worker who was concerned about sex trafficking in Haiti, why would the FBI redact it? Only to protect the guilty, only to protect the conspirators. Here we go again, destruction of evidence. Why would that be hidden from Jason Chaffetz? Why would that email be hidden? It's only one answer. It's protecting the guilty. If you were a real person that was concerned about, saving these kids, you would love to see your name in lights with Hillary Clinton. You'd love to see that email out there. In what way would that be a threat? So anyway, I'll develop out the whole Latin America thing later. But so here's a girl that was on a jet trip, 5-day jet trip with Jeff Epstein. Okay, and this is just the MO. I'm just going to tell you right now. I just have to get this information out. And he's going to be flying from Dubai to Bahrain to, all these places where you see the real tall buildings and money coming out everywhere, Qatar, UAE, etc. All those capitals, Saudi Arabia. And these are the elite. These girls are the elite. So this is basically the Council on Foreign Relations meetings roadshow. This is the to-go plan here, and Jeff's flying them to these different cities. And if you go to the logs, if you go to the FAA logs, or the NOAA logs, or the NASA logs, you're going to see the plane, his planes and helicopters in there. Same thing for New Mexico. If you look at the FAA, NOAA, or NASA, you're going to see these tracing all across. I guarantee it. There's an orgy of evidence here as well, just waiting. I just don't have the bandwidth right now. I'm just doing this as fast as I can. But the evidence is there. So like I said, it's the same thing over and over. These hospitality suites that these contractors are setting up to get oil and gas deals, okay? So now one thing I did want to say that, the hot blonde and everything, Valerie Plame didn't know this side of it. She was an economic spy. She was spying to get she thought, we're going to get contracts for the U.S. government. It's going to be a good way to, have influence and control, over the Croatian foreign minister or this foreign minister or that foreign minister or this general or that general for the F-35 or Joint Strike Fighter back then. It's Joe Wilson who knows about this side of the business. It's going to be Joe Wilson that knows about the girls' side of the business. And I'll bet he's never talked to Valerie Plame about that. And I'm not trying to ruin their marriage, but I think if Valerie, with her contacts, this isn't Valerie Plame, but I'm just pointing her out as kind of the representative hot blonde, you're going to find that she's going to be able to unwind this too. And I wouldn't be surprised if she sees this, she's going to probably come out and say, hey, you're right. There was all these, elaborate, this boom boom room here in Manhattan used to be the boom boom room over on 9th Avenue, and that's where these guys went. I can tell you that right now. So, and I published the New York location of Jeffrey Epstein. So if people want to take pictures of license plates going in and out of there, they call it the Stone Fortress. You can kind of do some citizen journalism there. So again, the reason why I have had this Rahman speaking at these oil conferences, this one's in Kazakhstan, and these are 5-star hotels they go to. The hospitality suites are everywhere he goes. So you follow him to these hospitality suites, you're going to have the girls there. I'm just telling you. That's why I've had him there for about 20 days now. I know that sounds unbelievable, but these kids are going somewhere. They're going somewhere, and they're going to these holding pens in different cities. There's going to be some in Kazakhstan. There's going to be some in Kazakhstan. There's going to be some in Uzbekistan. Everywhere the pipeline goes through, you're going to have these sex brownstones. I know it sounds way off the mark, but if you really think it through and you really follow the kids and you follow the oil, and you follow the money, you follow the arms, it all lines up. And you're going to see it with DynCorp contracts in every one of those cities. Training police, guaranteed. So, America, bringing home this police training, bringing home Pug Winnecour's police training, if you want to call it that, using kids, abducting kids to do that. And you call them different operations. This is just one of them. This is the one they're running in Columbia, Underground Railroad. So, bringing it home, this is who's bringing it home. The think tank here is bringing this home, and it's called JTTF. They ran it for military schools first, for MPs, military police first, on near CIA U.S. Bases. So you're going to find the one that there's a huge base out in Nebraska near where the Franklin was. And so they're going to be near these bases. You're going to find one up in Seattle near Fort Lewis. You're going to find, you just go for the base and then go for the CIA operation and then go for the police training program where DynCorp has a contract. And that's where you're going to have one of these located. I know it sounds like this could not possibly be, but literally, if you'd never been to America before and you're from Kenya, or let's say, I don't know, Congo in 1920 or 1950, and you'd never seen a McDonald's before, you'd be surprised at the first McDonald's. And then you went to the next city and you see another one. You go, oh my gosh, these are all over. It's the same thing. This is just a franchise. It's just a franchise. And it's this asset forfeiture, I'm going to just say it again, this technique of going into a country, disrupting, destroying individual rich people that are you perceive them to be your enemies through a disruption campaign, getting their assets, funneling your assets through your chosen guy, who's going to be Carlos Slim in Mexico. That is what DHS was modeled on. DHS in the United States was modeled on DFS in Mexico. And that formula for the destruction of enemies or destruction of journalists or destruction of people with money has been done over and over and over. And it's sexual entrapment for asset forfeiture. So, and Pug Winokur. So, and you know what? I do want to mention the heroes here, and not all the heroes are women. just so happens that a lot of the people in sex trafficking, the heroes are women. But Richard Holbrooke, poor guy, he went all around the world trying to get peace in Afghanistan. He tried to get peace in Kosovo, and he had guys like this on his shoulder, always needling him, saying, "Well, there's another horrible massacre that happened," and Srebrenica and all those different places. They kept doing those because Holbrooke was succeeding in the peace negotiations, so they had the Serbs keep doing these massacres to change world public opinion. So you'll find anytime you find this cycle with a lot of massive murders and so forth and discovering of bodies, it's